The market, oh, I'm getting dropped frames as well. That's very interesting. That's not good. Yeah, there's just something really wonky going on with this video. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it's maybe better on X than it is on YouTube. I don't know. We'll find out. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and open this and we're going to look at it. And I'm going to just put things into perspective for you guys. And hope the video goes through, because it'd be a real daggone shame if it doesn't. So basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to get an understanding, and I typically go through this in different ways and just kind of come up with, you know, different numbers based on what I'm looking at. But from here, we're going to look at, this is Bitcoin. This is a Bitcoin chart. This is a 2-day chart, logarithmic. Okay. I'm pretty sure it's still logarithmic. Yeah, it is. Okay. So it's a 2-day logarithmic chart. And basically, if we start all the way down here at the low of November of 2011, all the way up to its peak in 2013, you can see this was a 747 days. All right. Then if we go halving to halving, that was about 1,287 days. All right. Now moving forward, figure we had the low here to the next peak in 2017. This is Bitcoin. So the low to the peak, that was 845 days, about 100 days longer than the previous market cycle. So that was a little extended. In addition to that, the halving, from this halving to this one that ended up in 2020 was also quite a bit longer. This is another, 200, roughly 200 days longer from halving to halving. So everything's kind of expanding. Okay. Now we go to the bottom in 2018 of Bitcoin to the peak of 2021. Now we're looking at 1,066 days. Okay. So extension. Now, I wasn't sure what was causing this extension in the market. But in addition to that, you can see that the halving to halving was a little bit longer than the previous market cycle, but nothing substantial. All right. Now, moving forward, you're going to notice here, I have from bottom to the potential peak as being 1,409 days. And this is because, given where we're at in the market and what's happening, this transition out of like retail FOMO and institutional interest taking over, and the institutions controlling the narrative through and through from now on. All right. They are slowing things down. And I think there are a multitude of reasons for this. Now, this isn't to say that the altcoins aren't going to have their time. I believe that between now and then, we are likely going to have multiple little rallies in the altcoin market. Basically, not like we saw recently, how Cardano hit like $1.30 or something like that, right? It was basically where it was when it peaked in 2017. And then it came back down, and now it's back down around 50 something cents. I believe that we're going to see little pumps like that with corrections between now all the way into 2026. And it's killing me to say it. I hate it, but I think this is what's happening. The institutions are laying the groundwork for themselves. And I do believe that very few altcoins are going to be a significant part of this altcoin market between now and the peak. And I do believe that there will be a peak, because from here, we're probably going to get a pretty decent correction. I'm going to guess a 40% correction before we turn right back around and start heading into the 2030 market. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, if we look here, how does Cardano specifically relate to these market cycles? Here you had the Cardano peak in 2018, just after the Bitcoin peak, right? Then in this market, in the 2021 market, we had that double peak, right? In 2021, this was the first one. This is the second one. Well, this threw everything off. And I do believe that this was basically the one way that the market decided to, like, I don't know how they did this or what exactly was the catalyst for it, but I do believe that this is when they said, okay, instead of these parabolic runs, we're going to chop this up and we're going to make it 2 peaks. And I do believe that whatever methodology they used to achieve this, and yeah, I do believe to some extent it was intentional. And I do believe that to some extent it was on purpose, because I believe we're seeing something similar to this now playing out over and over and over for an elongated market cycle. I believe that the one ultimately becomes 1.5, becomes 2, becomes forever. And I do believe that a lot of this is playing out similarly to NASDAQ, S&P. I believe that all of this stuff is happening. What's some of the major catalysts right now? Obviously the different, the Genius Bill, the Stablecoin Act, all this stuff, the reserves, the digital asset reserves, all of these things. But what I believe is on its way out are all of the shit coins, folks. I really wholeheartedly believe that. I think if the government itself is not giving the asset their seal of approval, or you don't have major corporations getting on board with these altcoins to prove their value and use case, which effectively will then turn around and generate more institutional interest, we're going to start seeing a lot of these layer ones be pulled into and some others, right? Like Iagon. I know Iagon is getting ready to start with Ford Motor Company. Big things are happening, right? But we're not seeing the liquidity. We're not seeing that money flow into the market the way we're used to seeing it, because it's got to go through the institutions first. Now, this is showing the bottom of Bitcoin, and then this is showing the bottom of Cardano. Cardano's bottom price this cycle was 23 cents. Well, since then, it's been 741 days, and it's up about 137% from the bottom. Nothing dramatic. We saw the little rise up to about $1.30. So effectively it pumped all the way up beyond like almost to 300%. And that was great. And then it came back down, but it never came back all the way down to its bottom. I think what we're seeing play out is a lot of mini cycles over and over and over. And until we get to the big grand poobah peak, which, oh my God, it kills me, but it's very likely going to be another year. And my question is, can I survive a year? Right? That's honestly the question I'm asking myself. But these extended cycles with Bitcoin value are likely to flow into the top altcoins, spearheaded by institutional interest first, then drive retail interest afterwards based on real use potential. Gimmicks and nonsense tokens will die. This is a flood out of all of the trash, and anyone that is still trying to maintain some sort of like holding on to trash tokens, I believe is really going to struggle. I really do. I think that this market is going to be, it's all about, and listen, and I know I saw the comment. Yes, I know everybody said, well, when Jerome Powell just cuts interest rates and all this political stuff, and 90% of the Fed are Democrats and they're all trying to shoot Trump's economic plans in the foot. They can't give him that win. I see it all. I see all those narratives, but realistically, I don't think just having interest rate cuts is going to cut it. But what else we're seeing is, rather than see this bold quantitative easing that we're used to seeing during Democratic politician runs for president, right? We're seeing this kind of happen under the radar now, right? I feel like the Fed, for whatever reason, seems to be doing everything they can to not drive up retail excitement about the economy. They don't want to cut rates. They're doing their quantitative easing in different ways. They're not announcing it. They don't want anybody to think things are super, super great under Trump. And it sucks, really, because it's a disservice to the entire country, each and every one of us. I don't give two shits who the president is, as long as we're all doing better. That's it. I really don't care. I don't care if it's Trump or Kamala or Biden or freaking emo. I don't care, as long as we're all doing better. Okay? All of these narratives that keep getting attached to one another. Oh, this person's this and that person's that. And I know Trump has nicknames for everyone, but you know, realistically, man, all of this stuff is about is control. Point blank, plain and simple. It's all about control. And it's about what party is willing to do what to establish control and for who. You have one party that's willing to they want to establish control for all of these craziness, all kinds of craziness, in my opinion. And then you have this other party who's all about the Benjamins. They're all about the money in a different way. This group, well, they've got methods to take whatever they want and never be held accountable for it. This one just wants to make it and try to drive everybody up, and, you know, but they do their own shit, right? So politically, it's all a big joke to me. Every bit of it. It's like everybody on a certain level is so protected. You know, people sitting around waiting for accountability, the day is never going to come. It's never going to happen. So many of these people have had careers of 40, 50, even 60 years. Nobody's ever touched them, and they've done some dastardly shit. That's not going to change. I don't care who's in office. I don't care who's on the administration. It does not matter. Give those pipe dreams up. But what we can see is that the institutions are obviously playing a significant game, and they're accumulating Bitcoin on paper, and they're coming up with new investment interests or instruments to get everyone else in, but try to get them in a way that benefits them the most. To give you a prime example, years ago, when I realized I had like $4 or $5 grand in a 401k from the time I was working as like a W-2 employee, I had a financial advisor, and I said, just put it all into Bitcoin. And I think at the time, Bitcoin was about $4 grand. But at the time, all that was available was GBTC. So I basically got what was equivalent to one Bitcoin for about $4 grand through GBTC. What is that worth now? Well, now it's only worth about 45 grand because I basically got half a Bitcoin. Okay. And now it's all been transitioned into BlackRock's ETF, which fine. That's cool. I'm pretty sure I told my financial guy to do that. But it's worth about 45 grand. So somehow, some way, that one Bitcoin that I bought GBTC became worth half a Bitcoin and worth about 45 grand today. Whoop-de-doo. Like, to me, that is year after year after year of everybody taking their fees and their premiums. And so they're profiting off of the value increase in Bitcoin while they're charging the public in multiple ways, whether it's your financial advisor taking his cut, the fund or whatever you're in taking their percentages. So everybody's bleeding this shit out, and it's going to continue, right? Now, when you have an asset like Bitcoin, that, you know, the value is likely going to continue rising because, you know, I remember I asked him, I said, how is this only worth 45 grand now? And he is like, what are you talking about? You only started with 4. And I'm like, are you stupid or something? I told you specifically what I was trying to accomplish and what I wanted to do. I wanted a Bitcoin on paper that I never had to think about or worry about for the next 20 years. But it's just been bleeding over time. Everybody taking their cut over time. However often everybody takes their fees, right? So to me, a lot of that is BS too. If you want to buy Bitcoin, if you want to get into crypto, you have to just buy it and custody it yourself. That's all there is to it. If you don't do that, you're risking long-term bleed out. And it doesn't matter what the overall value goes up to. My 4 grand is now worth 45. I should be blissfully happy, shouldn't I? No, not when I bought a Bitcoin to begin with. It should be worth over $100,000 right now. So that is what drives the institutions to do what they're doing. They are going to make so much money off of Bitcoin as an asset, lobbying everyone related to the current administration and future administrations to make sure that regulations are more lax, everything's more lax, because everybody's going to want to profit off of this market, off of the cryptocurrency market. And as that continues driving forward, there's going to be more and more institutional government interest. All this interest is going to continue growing into altcoins, but very few altcoins. The altcoins that are going to load up and drive off are going to be the ones that are establishing themselves as not only institutional instruments, decentralized. I mean, everything's going to have its purpose, right? You're going to have your centralized, your decentralized. We're going to have all these different blockchains doing different things. They're each going to have their pros and cons, and they're going to be used for different industries. That's just all there is to it. Doesn't matter whether you like it or not. But I mean, and that's basically what I see happening. I see a big transition out of the shitcoin market into the top 20, top 30, even top 50 of the crypto assets. Some of those are going to rise and fall, but I really do believe that between now and the peak, we could have a pretty substantial pump in October. And I do think that we're probably going to get one. And then we might get a 20% correction and everybody's going to think it's over. And then we're going to continue moving forward. And in October, we may see a big pump and we might see another kind of mini pump rally in the altcoin market before that starts to settle back down. I'm going to be watching it. But I really do think that that's what's happening. I think that's where we're at now. I think this 4-year cycle stuff is done. Not only that, but if you really look at it in terms of like the halving, we've already mined up the majority of Bitcoins already anyway. And these halvings are going to be less and less meaningful every cycle. It's just people aren't going to even feel it at a point. I mean, we're already kind of almost there. And I just don't think that's going to matter much. So my legitimate advice for everyone at this point is, I don't know what you're holding. I don't know what you're invested into, but if you're holding shit coins on any level, you might want to really deep dive and look at those and see what have they done. If you're holding coins from several years back that have really done nothing between the time you bought them and now, it's probably better to go ahead and look at other assets that are active and doing big things. I think a lot of the meme coin market is really going to get hit harder than it already has been. I think that some of the memes are probably going to do okay. I actually looked at Crow Token today, and I was surprised that like my holdings were actually worth a little bit of money. And I'm like, okay, and I have a lot of plans for the Crow tokens, but it's like there's not much you can do when everything is down. I don't even do sponsored segments right now. There's just nothing. Everybody's trying to push everything off until August. And it's just like, I'm busy. I have been just to let you guys know what I've been doing. I've been going through Trade Travel Chill's market maker method course, which I love. I cannot tell you guys how much I love her. I think she is absolutely phenomenal. I've had 2 different courses. And both of them were about the market maker method. And I started into the one and I'm like, I'd already done like 10 of the course videos for Trade Travel Chill. And I'm not making anything to promote her. I'm just doing it out of love, like truly. But I really think if you want to get into trading, you should start there. I'm probably going to end up going through her course totally, like probably 2 or 3 times for everything to really sink in. But I made, what did I make? I made almost like $580, almost $600 this week, just scalping early mornings for about an hour. And that's it. Just as I'm learning, I've got like 5 pages of notes and I'm nowhere near done. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I'm really actively working on becoming a professional trader. And I just think that I need to do what I can. I have to supplement my own livelihood between now and whenever this market decides to go. The one saving grace is I do believe that we are going places. I do not believe the altcoin markets are done. There are going to be some people out there that are saying the altcoin markets are dead. Everything's going to Bitcoin and all these new instruments, the micro strategies, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, to some extent, institutional money is likely diving into those investment vehicles and people with their 401ks and things like that. So that's where a lot of volume is going. But effectively, that doesn't necessarily change the value proposition of a good number of altcoins in the space, because I mean, Cardano being primary for a lot of that. I probably can't say anything. I was invited to an event this weekend that I can't go to in New York, but I will say big things are happening for Cardano. And I will also say that because there was no NDA to it, but like Solana sponsored it. So that was eye-opening. And it's a really big deal for Cardano. And I do believe that there is going to be some significant interoperability between Cardano, Solana. Whether you like Solana or not, they're working together. I mean, they're in bed playing with each other's hair. I'm just telling you. And I don't even have a problem with it as long as everybody keeps their nose clean. The biggest part of of my disdain for Solana, quite frankly, has been just the methods that they've used to compete in the market space. A lot of that degeneracy really rubbed me wrong, and it still does. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But, you know, maybe it's one of those fake it till you make it kind of things where, you know, they've faked enough, and maybe they're getting to a point where, you know, hey, let's all start working together. Hey, if that's what it takes, I'm down. Let's all work together. I don't really care at this point. I just want everyone to do well. And that's where it's at. And I know that Cardano's interoperability is going to touch many, many blockchains in the very near future. The midnight airdrop is coming. I'm pretty sure it's either the end of this month. I think it's next month. I think the midnight airdrop is next month. I know that there's going to be details coming out very soon for that. I know that Charles has something coming very, very big that I think is going to get everyone pretty excited. And there's so much that I can't even say, and I don't know all the details for a lot of it. I just know little tidbits here and there, just little bits and pieces, but I can't even say that. But I know that there's a lot of really exciting stuff happening for Cardano specifically. I don't really follow many other chains. Now, a lot of people talk about Ethereum being the big grand poobah, that Ethereum needs to pump before everything else does. I think that's a bunch of hogwash nowadays. I know that institutions are buying Ethereum because of where it's been and where it's at and what proposed, where it could possibly be someday. And it doesn't hurt to accumulate that asset while prices are where they've been. They've been stagnant. But if you think for a second that companies like World Liberty and BlackRock and all of these groups are buying Ethereum because they expect the altcoin market to just be stagnant forever, you're crazy. You're just flat out crazy. And I've seen so many reports on like the number of whales accumulating tens of millions of dollars of ADA just recently. And it's like every week people are accumulating more and more and more, but it's retail institution. If you don't think that a lot of these groups that are filing and waiting for different ETFs, if you don't think they're already accumulating, knowing it's just a matter of time until like these Cardano ETFs get approved and it's off to the races, you're crazy. But I mean, it's happening right now. It's officially happening right now. I see it all over. And one more quick message that I want to address to Ada Whale and Charles. Okay. You know, I just want to make this sentiment very clear. It's time for everybody to stop their shit. Okay. Because I am personally tired of watching people argue and bicker over the idea behind the reason why so many of us are involved with Cardano to begin with. I'm tired of the people that are out there trolling Charles and trolling Cardano. I'm sure there's probably some in the chat. I haven't really looked just yet. You know, that's always going to be the case. Any leading asset is going to have a number of people, whether it's bots or otherwise. I notice a lot of them are bots. If I look at usernames, it's always some random whatever name followed by like 6 or 7 numbers. Those are generally auto-generated bot accounts, okay? There are systems that create these bots. I've played with them in the past. A lot of it is just bullshit bots. And now with AI, they can run these things and create a gazillion of them. So they can create an entire community of bots talking to themselves, creating sentiment and narratives for people to latch themselves onto and get caught up in a whirlwind of a bunch of made up shit. It happens every day. It's all over social media. Half of everything we read on social media today is all garbage. It's AI written by bots. Okay. So I don't even really, I don't care about a lot of that. But what I do care about is when I see people that I've grown to respect and appreciate over the years, whether that's Charles, whether that's Ada Whale, whether that's other individuals on X or on YouTube or otherwise, at odds with one another about an idea. The fact of the matter is that it's okay for us all to have varied opinions related to any particular topic within the Cardano ecosystem or elsewhere. Varied ideas are what makes the world go round. That's what creates opportunities for conversation and self-learning. It's what creates opportunities for us all to learn from different perspectives. If we are constantly moving forward through life with only our own perspective, meaning anything to us, we are never going to learn or grow as individuals, period. So anytime I see somebody that is at odds with one another, and then we see a lot of posturing and a lot of my dick is bigger bullshit all over social media, that makes me sick to my stomach, quite literally. And I'm so tired of seeing the toxicity spill out all over the place because people's bags are down. The market is stagnant. Things aren't moving in the direction we expected as quickly as we were hoping. Everything is changing in the world around us. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is that we are all a part of a completely new revolution, a new era of technology, and we've all seen it coming for many, many years now. That's why we're here. And when we look at a blockchain such as Cardano, with its decentralized nature so many of us tout and promote all over the place, and its governance system that is basically empowering a great number of people to get involved, share opinions, share ideas, with being able to put our power into the hands of people that we trust to make votes on our behalf with our best interests in mind, that is the nature of a decentralized governance body, and various opinions are what are going to drive that forward. And it doesn't matter if you don't agree with somebody today, you may agree with them tomorrow. Don't burn bridges. It doesn't matter, is my point. And I'm in a position now where anytime I look in a direction and I see toxicity, I just run the other direction because I don't have time for that shit anymore. As I continue to get older and I learn more about my life and what matters in it, I have less and less fucks to give about this guy's ego being masturbated, or this guy's, argument being heard around the globe, and everybody needs to agree with them or they're all shit, or whatever the case is. Everybody needs to get over themselves. I saw Ada Whale basically saying how he was going to stop posting on X and stop sharing his opinions and things like that. You know what? That guy is only, or girl, I don't know who it is, has only ever been a powerful, significant proponent of the Cardano ecosystem and should be appreciated in much more ways than he or she is or has been. And that goes for a lot of people in the Cardano ecosystem. So many of us, Dan Gambardello, one of the most bullish people I've ever seen. We just swapped some messages recently. I truly value and appreciate that person because I truly believe in my gut that every video he does is with heart. And I believe that every video he does is with the intent to help everybody see the light of tomorrow without having to worry so much or be bogged down by the boredom or the nonsense or whatever of today. And I really value those people. Unfortunately, so many of us that have been a part of this ecosystem since the very, very beginning have never been patted on the back. We've never been paid shit. We don't really get any perks or benefits from anybody anywhere. We do it all because of our love and the future that we see in this ecosystem. Plain and simple. I don't come on YouTube and just spout my shit because I'm making a whole bunch of money. I'm not making shit for any of this. I don't even think I make anything from YouTube, quite frankly, because I don't know where the hell the money goes. I haven't in forever. So it's like I come on here to share my opinions and to share my insight just to help all of you. And I don't get anything for it unless I say this company's a sponsored something and they paid me $1,000 to tell you whatever, right? And that's pretty much it. And so it's like I see that there's so much opportunity for growth in the Cardano ecosystem, and not just this, but in the Ethereum ecosystem and the Solana ecosystem. All of us have our growing pains and our issues, and the sentiment across the board is down because Bitcoin's stealing everybody's thunder. But I will tell you this, it's just a matter of time. Every dog has its day, and I do believe that as this market continues to change, if everybody could just get over themselves, start working together, engaging in real productive dialogue, we can really change the world in big ways. And it's not going to just be about the blockchain itself, but the proponents and the people and those of us that have been taking part in this ecosystem since the beginning, reading all the boring academic shit most of us didn't even believe. That is what is going to help drive the adoption, drive the interest, and spread the word. And if we're sitting around bickering and arguing with each other, and we've got this central person who's just kind of taking counter jabs at every asshole on the internet, when they should really just keep their head down and focus on work and focus on building, focus on managing the different groups and the different people, maybe do some things to kind of help spark some positive interest and some positive inspiration to everybody that's been building, talking, promoting, and working, instead of constantly just defending yourself. That's not helping anybody, and it's definitely not helping you. I have nothing but respect for everyone in the Cardano ecosystem, but it is time everybody shuts the fuck up, period. That's all I have to say right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate your time. And until next time, crow your coins. I'll see you again soon, but enjoy your weekend. Take the weekend off, take a break, get out, touch some grass. I know I'm going to. And that's about it, man. We've got a very bright future ahead of us. I assure you of that. But we have to be patient and we just have to play it smart. So until next time, crow your coins. See you soon.